Carter is joined this evening with his wife, Dr. Sandra Holly Carter, and he said the only thing you need to tell is that I married her and we have 4 children. But allow me to go on a little bit longer in regards to some of what Dr. Carter is doing and has done to perhaps lay a foundation for his remarks.
It's a surprise. To Bishop, to Stephen, to all of the distinguished members of the table. I would first like to ask the individuals that founded this organization to stand who are here with us this evening. Come on. Be inspired. Your perseverance, your dedication, your willingness to sacrifice made this evening possible. And for that I commend the 2 of you and all of the others that founded this organization. I want you to bear with me just a little while. I know some of you don't go to church, and so I'm going to try to help you, though it's Friday, and maybe it'll carry you to Monday. Facing the changing economy. But if you had allowed me to pick a theme or a topic for what I want to talk about, it would be who will follow us. I want you to hear what I said. Who will follow us? We're at a crossroads in America, whether we realize it or not. Miss Syke, you were so right. Yes, we need scientists and engineers, but there's a problem. One of my colleagues, the former president of Purdue, said by 2010, 90% of the scientists and engineers in the world will be located in Asia. We look at Dubai, a small little place in the Emirates that buys 20% of the London Nasdaq. We look at India, where there is the equivalent, if not more advanced than Silicon Valley, which is in California. We can no longer rest on our laurels. Just as the founders put forth efforts 22 years ago, we must rejuvenate ourselves and reaffirm our commitment to making tomorrow better than today. And you can't. And you can't do that with low expectations. If you want entrepreneurs, you know, that child can't learn. Anybody who can shoot dice, play cards, can learn that. Believe me, if you think I'm making it up, you go to where they teach individuals blackjack at a casino, how hard it is to become a dealer. Anyone who can learn hip-hop, remember the lyrics. Got all the movements down, can learn. But we've allowed our expectations to be low. And when you have low expectations, you don't stretch. And if you don't stretch, you can't reach low expectation, Benjamin Mann said, is the sin, not failure. You have to be willing to step out in the deep. And so my challenge this evening to you and to myself is to say that we do want a better tomorrow, but we have to be willing to touch someone as we have been touched. I'm here because people dare to touch and intervene in my life. And many of you are here because someone dared to intervene in your lives. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Just stop and think how blessed we are. But then remember how many other individuals are not as fortunate. Just imagine what the world would be like, the United States would be like, if we addressed poverty, which we could do if we address health care, which we could do if we could address energy, which we could do. But it means rising above partisanship. It means putting the nation and its people before self. It means having an educated citizenry. It means not allowing our children to take general education courses. You know, I'm old-fashioned. See, some of you don't remember cornbread and beans, I can tell. You wouldn't know a ham hock if it hit you in the face. See, when I grew up on Gnhbpa, ham hock, collard greens, and I used to have my children eat them regularly. And they would say, well, Daddy, why are we eating this? That's because this is what Daddy grew up on. And I want you to realize if you don't work hard, this is what you're going to be eating every day. Think of a society that places more value on athletics and musicians than it does a teacher. Think about a society where the only two jobs are guaranteed: being a funeral home director and a corrections officer. Tell me, when you reach that state that you have more correction institutions than you have education facilities, you're about to implode as a nation. You don't have to say my word. There was a study done a few years ago funded by the Gnhbpa Foundation, entitled New England 2020. By 2020, between the ages of 25 and 29, that cohort, 47% of the individuals will be of color in Connecticut. I want to say it again. Between the ages of 25 and 29, by 2020, 47% in that cohort will be of color in Connecticut. It will also be true in Massachusetts. I don't know why we don't move to Vermont and New Hampshire. Now, if that projection is true, just bear with me, because it impacts on the economy and how it will change if we don't do something about it today. Just imagine now, you got 47% between the ages of 25 and 29. And let's say between the ages of 1 to 24, 13% of the population is of color. Now That's a low number, you know. And let's say from 30 on, it's 13%. That means you have a state, 73% of the individuals are of color. Yet they're not educated. What does that mean? You have the minorities being white, supporting those of color because they're not educated. You created South Africa without legalizing it. That's what I'm worried about. That we know the demographers are right, that the hue of this nation is changing. We know for a fact right now that individuals of color generate billions of dollars annually. But our children, in many ways, don't understand what it has taken to get us where we are now. They don't understand the word sacrifice. They only believe in immediate gratification because the television tells them, you know, honey, if you're ugly, just buy this and you'll be beautiful. I can tell you it doesn't work. I tried it. We should have in our household a no-C rule for any child that wants to play athletics. Honey, if you can't do better than a C, you're not going to be on the baseball field, the football field. You're going to be in the classroom. That's going to be your playing field. Because my mother used to have a saying, poverty is between the ears. And I mean, we didn't have anything. We had lost it all. And I can remember when I was about 7, and we were in one room, and my brother had a BB gun by the bed in case a rat walked by. That's the truth. But she would say to me and my brothers, we're not poor. We're not poor. And I can remember the first TV we got. The screen was about like this. And so you could see probably the P-O. You never could see the O-R. For years I would go around saying O. Now, I'm joking about that, but I'm making a point. She also said our situation, particularly your situation, need not be your destination. It's not what you wear. It's not how you look. It's developing that which you have. That's what we got to share with our children. If we're going to benefit from an economy that can be robust. Notice what I said, that can be robust. While we're planning, Saudi Arabia is investing now billions in developing higher education, pattern after Western higher education. Dubai is developing and putting millions into creating what they refer to as the International Education Center, the Middle East. Pattern after Western education. What does it take for us to wake up and realize that without an educated infrastructure, our economy ceases to exist? But more importantly, we become slaves to others because we lack the development of the mind. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about it. It doesn't make sense for anyone to go to school and not benefit from instruction. I remember when I was a little boy, I did some things that I shouldn't do, and I won't tell you all of them. But I will say this. Everybody in the neighborhood could discipline me. Everybody. And they took pride in doing it. Because they felt some responsibility for me. There was a connection to the community that we have allowed to disappear. You can't transform a society unless each of us are transformed and we help each other be transformed. That is the final analysis. Money will not save us. It's what's in here and what's in here that will bring about the transformation that's necessary. I got 3 or 4 more minutes, just bear with me. Normally in church, it's longer for those of you who don't. Some of you sleep through the sermon anyway. But that's neither here nor there. The point I want to make is this. This is serious. You know, yesterday I was 65 years old. And I know I'm a handsome man. And my father was 72 when I was born. And I frequently say to my wife, you know, get ready. Again, no, but it just runs in the family. Now, the reason I'm making you laugh is because I want to be serious with you. But I also want you to understand that the blaze, the trail that has been blazed, we're going to have to widen. And you need a sense of humor. You have to arrive at a point in your life when you say, every obstacle that I encounter is an opportunity that awaits creative reflection. And I believe that. I believe we have an opportunity to transform America. I believe it. Just as the founders believed this was possible. You have eminent scholars here, doctor here. See all of you. We can't afford to lose a generation. But we will if we keep allowing the extreme ends of the continuum to control our streets, to influence our children, as opposed to taking control of them ourselves. I refused to allow, when I was a president, anybody to wear a do-rag on campus. And people used to say I'm afraid. And when they would wear the pants down low, I'd say, look, I'm sorry. Nobody wants to see your underwear pulled off. And people would say, why do you do that? I said, well, when you go in for a job interview, and you go in with your do-rag and your pants down, you know you're not going to get hot. That's just wasting time. You may get exercise, but that's all you get. The point I'm trying to make is, some of the things that we were taught years ago are just as valuable today as they were then. And you can't allow children, because you think it's cute, to get away with things now. I still tip my hat. if I were to meet a woman on the street. And I'm not hitting on her either. I'm just doing what I was taught to do. And I still say yes ma'am and no ma'am, out of respect. And you say, why would you do that? You're 65 years of age. No, I want my wife to know that she's cherished. I want your wife to know that she's cherished. I want your wife to know that she's a queen. She's not a slave girl. The bottom line is, if we're going to face a changing economy, let us be driving, not just riding. I value money. But you know what I value more? Values. There's no substitute, as I was saying to Mr. Clark earlier, a good work ethic. There's no substitute for it. And so, my plea to all of us is that we ask ourselves, what is it we can do to get a young person to mentor so that we can be a model for that young person? Get them to see and understand the meaning of punctuality. Get them to understand, and I really mean that. I get sick and tired of people saying, you know, I was late because, no. If you get out of bed early, you can be on time. You know, and my wife will tell you, I hate sleep. Because if you live 60 years of age and you have slept 8 hours every day, 20 years has been in the bed. Just do basic math. 24 hours, a third, 60, that's 20 years in the bed. And you said, well, you're 65, bed doesn't mean much to you. I told you my dad was 72. But some of us walk around with our eyes open and we're still asleep. And I'll end here. America is a special country. Much progress has occurred, but much more needs to be done. I'm here because of Mr. Clark, you, and many others that have gone before me. That's why I'm here. They dared to do. We must dare to do, so that those that are born, and as well as those that are yet to be born, will enjoy